What's up guys, XYZ here, welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck of the Day, and today we have a very special video. A while back we did a video discussing about the top 10 anime decks that we wanted to see in real life, and in first place I had put Sunavalon, and in Ghost from the Past, Konami finally released this deck in the TCG, but I didn't want to do the deck profile back then because we were still a couple cards missing, so I was waiting for them to come out, and now they got important in Lightning Overdrive, so the deck has everything it possibly wants, unless we even get more support in the future, but we don't really know about that. But now I wanted to show you the list that I've come up with. I've been working with this deck for such a long time. I've played it with the anime effects, I've played it with the new effects, and I think I've come up with a really good strategy because I've seen a lot of videos out there and people just end on the Link 4 and the trap in the back row, and that's not going to win you any games in the competitive scene, and I wanted to make this deck as competitive as possible, so I have incorporated a strategy that works really well with this deck, and I think that the deck is a really good mid-ranged combo deck that builds a decent board that against certain matchups you can win just like that if you end this board, but against some other matchups maybe those interruptions are not going to be enough, but still I think for Sunavalon it's really great, so yeah, I'm going to show you right now. Before we begin, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming content, and now let's get to the deck profile. So starting off with our monsters, we have 3 copies of Sunset Genius Loki. This is the main card of the deck. You want to be getting to this card as fast as possible to make your Link monsters. You have a card that is searchable that revives this card every single turn, so the recovery of the deck is really good, and one of the main reasons I wanted to wait for the new cards is because there are 2 cards in the extra deck that help this deck in the grind game. This deck, although it's a combo deck, these 2 cards that are new for the deck now in Lightning Overdrive helps it grind, because otherwise you would have to play cards like Pot of Avarice if you want to get all your cards back from the grave into your extra deck, but now you don't really need that, so you have more space in your main deck in order to go for more combo pieces, which is why I tried to do the deck, because it has to be something combo based. It's a ranged deck, so 90% of ranged decks were combos, so this deck is no different. It has the potential to combo a lot because plant monsters have really good support overall, so yeah, this is why you need to be able to combo out in order to be able to win. And going second, you have to use hand traps in order to make sure your opponent doesn't make a board, because unfortunately this deck cannot break a board, but still it's something that the deck can do if the board is mediocre, and this is why hand traps are here to help mitigate this game state. Now, to get to the Sunset Genius Loki, we play 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit. It gives you 2 Lokis in the price of 1. You don't have that many normal summons in the deck, and you also play an Expected Eye on 1-for-1 to get to your Sunset Genius Loki, so maybe in combination with that you can get all 3 of the field. And going second, the win condition is Thrashers, so you have to make as many Thrashers as possible, hopefully under the Link 4, so they get to 4,000 attack points. You start robbing your monsters, and then when you run them over, you get them to your side of the field with Thrashers effect, so this is why you need to get as many plants of the field as possible, and Rescue Rabbit helps with that. 3 copies of Lonefire Blossom. Lonefire Blossom, on top of giving you another starter, which gets to Loki, also is a combo piece that you need to do through your combo to get other kinds of plants in from the deck, because I do play a lot of decks that may seem a little bit bricky, but they're actually not, because you can discard them whenever you want with your Sunvine Shrine, so you can get their effects back from the graveyard, and also there are ways to get them out of your hand, even if you have used your normal summon, which I'll show you later, so Lonefire Blossom is a must at 3 in any plant deck, especially in this one. Now, the main strategy of the deck is revolved around when you take damage, your plant Link monsters give you back your life points, and they special summon a Sunvine from the extra deck. Now, what's slow about this is that you rely on your opponent. Usually you rely on your opponent because you have to take damage by your opponent's attacks or by your opponent's effect. So I didn't think it was very optimal to wait for your opponent to do something, especially if they read the cards and they know what they're doing. They're not going to do it unless they have game on board. So I tried to find a way to use these effects on my own during my own turn. So I included some self-hurting cards in the main deck in order to help me use Dorias's effect very soon, so I can get more advantage. So first we have 3 copies of Zephyros. So these cards, like I mentioned before, you can discard them with Sunvine Shrine, so you have to draw them, you need to draw them, and then you can discard them with your spell card, and then you use the grave effects to get it back on the field. So it not only does it give you an extender, and Sunvine Shrine is not a hard once per turn, so you can use the revival effect again if you bounce it back to your hand, so you get 2 revival effects with Zephyros, but also the effect that gives you 400 damage. With Dorias on the field, you get those life points back, and you get another monster from the extra deck. So this is the combo potential of the deck. When you hurt yourself, you get back your life points, you special summon more monsters. So this is what you try to do with this deck, because if you rely on your opponent to deal you damage, then there's absolutely no way that you're going to win, because by the time your opponent deals you damage, it will be too late, because they will have an established board ready on the field that's going to OTK you through anything. 3 copies of Tricklound. Clown, same logic. This card is a self-hurting card because if sent to the grave, you take 1,000 damage and it gets itself back on the field. And these being level 4s actually help because there is a certain plant Xyz monster that gives you more interruptions on the field, which I'll go into a little bit later when I go to the extra deck. And 3 copies of Parallel Exceed. These are here to make force tricks, so you can get your Zephyros, or if you already have access to Zephyros or your Trick Clown, with these you can make the rank 4 Rika that will give you another interruption, so it has multiple purposes. Now I do play a couple one-offs. These cards are essential to comboing off, so the first one is Mardel. Mardel, when she's summoned, you can add a plant from your deck to your hand, so you can get her out with your Lonefire Blossom, so that's pretty simple. One Snowdrop. Snowdrop helps you get those plants out of your hand, and she also gives you another interruption by making any plant her same level, so they both become level 8, so you can summon your Teardrop. 1 copy of Arrow Mage Laurel. This card is a good card in this deck because you do play Arrow Seraphy Jasmine. It's very good to have this card in your deck because there is a certain card in the extra deck that heals you on top of getting back your life points with Dorias' effect, so you do have more life points than your opponent, so you can special summon Roller from your hand. And also, when this card goes to the grave to link summon a second copy of Aromaseraphy Jasmine, that's what the play is, you gain life points, and Aromaseraphy Jasmine states that you get to search a plant when you gain life points, and that's not a hard once per turn. So by summoning 2 Jasmines on the field, when you link your Laurel away, you get to search 2 plant monsters from your deck, and usually that's your Snowdrop. And the next card I'm going to show you, which is a 1 copy of Spore. Spore gives you 2 uses. You can either go for Synchro, I play in the extra deck, I play just 1 Synchro, or you can revive it, you can link it away and then revive it by banishing one of your Lonefire Blossoms. It becomes level 4, so you can go into your rank 4 Rika. And 1 copy of Rose Girl. This card is a level 3 tuner, which combos with your Lonefire Blossom because the Synchro I play in the extra deck that gives you 1 more interruption is a level 6. 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just a great card this format. I mean, what else to say about this card? You have to play it. I also play 1 more Hand Trap, and if you want to switch it around, you can, but the one Hand Trap that you cannot actually play is Nibiru, because you do play Unexpected Die, so you want an empty field when you start your turn, so you cannot start your turn with Nibiru on the field. For the spells, play 2 copies of Sunvine Shrine. Even though this card is searchable by Dorias, I think you still need to play 2 just because if your opponent gets rid of it, and a lot of cards exist like Cosmic Cycle in the game right now, and they play it a lot, I think you need another one in order to be able to play, because without this card, you lose a lot of recovery. This card gives you revival every single turn. When you activate it, you discard a card, which helps a lot with Trick Clown and your Zephyros, maybe cards like Spore too, and then once per turn, you can special summon your Loki back from the grave, and as long as this card stays on the field, you're going to get a lot of advantage because your Lokis will become Thrashers, and if you have Durante on the field, Thrasher is going to have 4,000 attack, so you're going to deal a lot of damage. 3 copies of Unexpected Die. Sometimes Unexpected Die gives you a better combo because you don't need to use your normal summon, and your normal summon actually means you having 1 more interruption on the field sometimes. Same thing with 1 copy of 1 for 1, pretty much the same. 1 copy of Foolish. This on top of your self-hurting cards, it's a total of 10 self-hurting cards, and with your starters to get to your Loki, you have a total of 12 starters to go into your Loki. So I think that's consistent enough for a deck like this in order to be able to do your combo, because you need to draw 1 of each kind, so you can do your full combo. 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Of course, getting more monsters on the field means 1 more Thrasher. 1 copy of Call by the Grave, because if your opponent stops Dorias' effect with an Ash and you don't have your Shrine, then you won't be able to get your self-hurting cards to the grave, so you can use Dorias' effect. So that's why playing Call by the Grave is important, and also playing double Shrine is important, because sometimes if your opponent has a hand trap to deal with Dorias, you need to be able to have drawn this card already, so you can do your combo. For the traps, play 1 copy of Sunavalon Bloom. You search this with your Doria Trantie, and this is one of your interruptions. It's basically an effect that negates everything that your opponent has on the field already when it's activated. 1 copy of Blessed Winds. This card complements the Synchro play. The Synchro play is Marjoram, and you search this card with Marjoram, and then you use this card just to gain life points during your opponent's turn. And when you gain life points, Marjoram is a Dryden, so you get 1 more interruption this way. And 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, because I wanted to play 1 more hand trap, and I think if you cannot play Nibiru, and Gamma is not really the best option in this deck, because you need to get as many interruptions as possible even after making a board. Gamma was only good when my opponent was hand trapping, not only hand trapping, just ashing Rescue Rabbit, so I didn't think that was good enough, and I had to play 1 more card in the deck that was a brick, so I ultimately went with Infinite Impermanence. For the extra deck, we have 2 copies of Sunavalon Dorias. This is the main starter. When you link summon this, you get to search your Sunvine Shrine, and when you take damage, you gain those life points back once per turn, and special summon a Sunvine monster from the extra deck. This card is the combo enabler. This card gives you all the cards you need to go, and then you use this and the link monster you summon with its effect to go into your Jasmine, and then you do more stuff, because Jasmine helps you get to your plants from your deck, and also when you use Laurel's effect to gain life points, she also searches your card. So this deck makes the full value out of Jasmine's effect, because most plant decks that are not Arrow Mages just use Jasmine to special summon like Lunfire from the deck. This deck can actually make use of both her effects, decks really, really well, and maybe even better than Arrow Mage, because Arrow Mage usually uses one Jasmine to go for the combo, but this deck summons 2 Jasmine, so you can get 2 searches. 2 copies of Thrasher. This is your main damage dealer, aside from the interruptions you have on the field, but this card is the card you want to be aiming for when you go second, because it gives you as much advantage as possible by destroying monsters and also being able to go into 4K with Doriatranti on the field. Really, really good card. 1 copy of Sunvine Healer. This card is the card that enables all the Arrow Mage combos, because when she's summoned, you target a Sunavalon and you gain 300 life points depending on that monster's link. So you summon this under your Dorias, you gain back the life points you lost by your Triclown or your Zephyros, and then you use her effect to gain 300 life points, and then you're at 300 life points. So then you can use Jasmine's effect and Laurel's effect to gain even more life points and get even more searches, so this is why this card's here. Now the next 2 cards are from Lightning Overdrive, and these cards fixed a lot of problems for the deck. So the first card is Sunavalon Daphne. So Daphne helps you recover, so when you go through your combos and you actually get into a grind game because your interruptions maybe were not enough to defeat your opponent right away, or they may manage to break most of your board, you need to be able to get back your resources, because once you've used those 2 copies of Thrasher, it's not like you can do anything, and the space is kind of tight, especially in the combo version I'm playing, so you cannot play more than 2 Thrasher. So this card, it requires 2 plant monsters to be summoned, and then you can tribute a monster and then target 2 plants in your 2 link plants in your grave, and you return them to the extra deck. So usually you return a Dorias and you return a Thrasher, or if you already have a Dorias, you return both Thrashers. So this card helps you not have to play cards like Pot of Avarice in the main deck and gives you more space. Now the most important card is 1 copy of Sunavalon Melias. Oh my god, this card fixed so many for the deck. So when you were trying to go for the Thrasher play, you had to have the Doriatranti on the field, otherwise you are not going to do much. Yes, Dorianom worked as well, but I don't really play Dorianom because it doesn't help you anywhere differently than one Dorias does, only if your opponent tries to attack you, but that's hardly ever going to happen. But this card is an offensive, and is a Sunavalon that's an offensive card, because most of the Sunavalon monsters are defensive monsters. So this card, it's a link 3 that you can special summon a Sunset Genius Loki from your grave, and then you go into your Thrasher. It's a link 3 Sunavalon, so it has 3200 attack, and also you can target a Sunvine link monster it's got points to, and it can attack that many times up to the number of Sunavalon link monsters you control. So usually it's this and Dorias, so you get a 3200 attack points Thrasher that can attack twice, and when your Thrasher starts destroying monsters, you get to steal those monsters. So this is why Melias is such a good card for this deck, and I'm so happy that we have it now in Lightning Overdrive. 1 copy of Doriatranti. You summon this with 2 Jasmines. You don't need to summon Dorianom or anything like that. It's generic. You summon it with 2+ link monsters. So you use 2 Jasmines to summon this, and you search your Sunavalon Bloom. Speaking of Jasmine, we played 2 copies, like I mentioned a lot of times. This card makes the full value out of it in this deck, so you get both searches with both of them, and you special summon your Longfire from the deck. For the Exceeds monsters, we play 1 copy of Force Tricks. You summon this with your Parallel Exceeds, and you search your Zephyros. But if you already have access to Zephyros or Triclown, you summon Rika Queen Strenna. Strenna, when she's tributed, you special summon a plant from the extra deck, and then you put this card as material, and there how you tribute this with Snowdrop. You search your Snowdrop with your Jasmines and another plant, then you use Snowdrop, tribute this, and with this you can get Snowdrop's effect to summon your Teardrop, and also Strenna summoning the Sacred Tree Beast. And here they are, 1 copy of Teardrop and 1 copy of Tree Beast. These are your final end board. When you summon them, you usually end with Tree Beast, Teardrop, Doriatranti searching your Sunavalon Bloom for even more negates, and the last card that you summon for interruptions is 1 copy of Armaseraphy Sweet Marjoram. You summon her with using Longfire Blossom and Rose Girl, which are both level 3. So you summon the level 6 Synchro, and you search your Blessed Winds, and when you use Blessed Winds during your opponent's turn to get life points, you target a card your opponent controls and destroy it, so it's a Trident. So the max end board you can end on is a Doriatranti with a Bloom, Teardrop, Sacred Tree Beast, Marjoram, and maybe backed up with a Hand Drop or 2 for the maximum value. So yep, that's it guys. Sunavalon is just such a cool deck. I think that I've been waiting for this deck for such a long time now, ever since I first saw it in Vrains, and I'm so happy that it's finally out. And I know a lot of people, they really enjoyed this deck and were expecting this deck, and I know a lot of people were sad when Fossils won the poll and not this deck. This deck came second in the OCG poll for the new deck, but now the deck is here, we have it, we can play with it. Comment down below if you want to see the combos. If this video gets enough views, then yes, I will post the combos, because I know that a lot of people are curious about how you do those combos and end in so many negates, because they're not used to seeing something like that with Sunavalon. Sunavalon, but I promise you, if this video does well, then I'm going to post all the combos you can do with Zephyros, with Trickclown. We're going to show you everything you can do with the deck, because I'm passionate about this deck and I know that a lot of people are, so I want to show you how to play this deck optimally, because I'm tired of seeing those mediocre boards that end on a Doria Tranti and a Sunavalon Bloom, and they call it Sunavalon. Nope, this deck has so much more potential, so I want to show you exactly what you can do with the deck. So if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming content, and we'll see you next time.